Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to the Marysville Tulalip Chamber of Commerce Luncheon. Really excited today for our program. We've got some really good information for you. I hope you brought your pen and paper to take some great notes. Also, I wanted to remind you, on your table, there's a couple of these sheets right here. They say annual awards. At our auction at the end of the year, we will be recognizing some of the businesses in the community. We did this last year, and it was such a great way to point out the good works of some of the businesses in the community, some of the business owners, the nonprofits. So if you could peruse through this real quick on your table and fill out anybody that kind of comes to mind real quick. It is all anonymous, just a couple things that stood out to you about that business or that person, and then just dropping it off at the front table there on your way out. That would be very helpful. So to kick us off today, I'd like to introduce the chairman of the board. If you could help me welcome him up, Dom Amore.
Good morning, everybody. I'm so used to doing the breakfast before hours that I want to say happy Friday. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, at least I got the part of the day right. So, good morning. Welcome to the business luncheon. And one of the honors that I have as being both the MC of the event as well as the chair is to introduce to people members of our elected officials, as well as our board members as well, too. So if I can, I would like to start with our elected officials, beginning with our mayor, John Nearing, Marysville mayor. He'll be back up here in a few minutes. And then also council member Mark James. Board members, I thought I saw, nope, I didn't see Steve. Steve Powell's not here. Okay, and then of course, Jessica Stickles. So today's luncheon sponsor is the city of Marysville, and I would, to have perfect timing, isn't it, John? It's always perfect timing. I'd like to introduce to you Mayor John Nearing to provide us with an update on. Thank you. Oops. I'll get up.
Thank you, Dom, Jessica, and thanks to the Chamber for putting this on. There's been a number of these, and they're all very good and informative. I'm looking forward to today's as well. Just a couple quick things. First of all, you've probably been in this building, but if you haven't, this is the only building on the historical register in the city of Marysville, our Opera House. And we're really pleased. The city council made a decision to purchase this building a few years back. Well, we leased it for a while, improved it, and then purchased it. I think it's really important. This is one of the areas where we can help preserve kind of the cultural heritage of Marysville as we grow. We want to preserve that, and it also fits in nicely with our downtown plan, kind of around the shops and eateries and the things that we're trying to really build down in this area. So hopefully you enjoy this building here. And then we have a table back there where maybe Leah, you can raise your hand, is standing with some other information on city events. A couple that you might be interested in. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. at the Marysville Library, we have a 9/11 remembrance ceremony. It's always a great event, a chance for us to practice what we preach when we say we will not forget that. And then Thursday night we have we're showing Twister here with a theme around disaster preparedness. So Diana Rose, our emergency management coordinator, will be here to talk about disaster preparedness around that. So yeah, mix a little fun with some serious disaster preparedness. And finally, I'll close with you've probably seen, we've got a lot. It's really an exciting time to be in Marysville because we've been planning for some time, the council and the whole team, all these projects for years, 529 interchange, First Street bypass, State Avenue widening, Civic Campus project. Well, if you've driven on First, you've seen the mounds of dirt. We're starting that project. Towards the end of 2020, you'll see the interchange begin to be worked on. That'll come off I-5 onto 529. So you see a brand new interchange that'll feed into this First Street bypass. We're going out to bid on the public safety building and Civic Campus here next month. And so just all that is to say that over the next 2 to 3 years, you're really going to see some transformational things happen in Marysville. So that's an exciting time to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, Dom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'd like to introduce to you our keynote today, Nikki Rausch. Sales Maven founder Nikki Rausch is a coach, speaker, and best-selling author. During her 25-plus years sales career working for large companies like Hitachi, she's gained extensive knowledge in the art of relationship selling. Please join me in welcoming Nikki to the stage.
I'm going to make a couple changes. Bear with me. Go ahead and chew. That'd be a good thing to do right now. Now, everybody think good thoughts. It's going to work. Yeah. While it's working, here it goes. I have these on the table for you. These are for those of you who love to take notes. I'm a note taker, so I always try to give something for those of you who like to take notes. And those of you who just want to listen, please do that as well. All right, here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about closing the sale. Anybody in here consider themselves a salesperson? Anybody in here think of themselves as not a salesperson? Yeah, okay. This is for all of you. We'll see how I do. Okay, here's what we're going to talk about today. There's actually quite a bit to go through. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a sales funnel and the selling staircase, and this will all make sense, hopefully, as I go through this. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my 5-step approach for sales, and then we're going to really dig in to taking the next step with a client. When you have a prospective client in mind or a conversation with somebody, how do you move them through the process and do it in a way that's authentic, that doesn't feel pushed or forced or salesy or any of those other negative words associated with selling? And then we'll talk about the discovery, the proposal, and then the close, and then the circle back. So that's what we're going to do in the next 45 minutes. I've tried to leave some time at the end for questions, so please mark down any questions that you have. I love questions, so you can ask me anything sales related. I'm going to clarify that. All right, so here we go. Actually, you kind of already heard this, so I'm going to move through this stuff. For anybody who's wondering, in my 25 years, I have actually had the privilege of training hundreds of people on how to sell successfully, so I'm very excited to offer this training for you today. Okay, how many of you have heard of a sales funnel? How many of you had a boss or somebody say, like, fill your sales funnel? Anybody? Yeah. And I get this concept because I come from a corporate sales background, and a sales funnel is very important. However, a sales funnel oftentimes is more about marketing activities. Like, how do you get those leads in the door? And then I find where people tend to stumble in the selling process is, now the lead's in the door, but now what? How do I seamlessly move them to actually exchanging dollars for services? So what I teach is a 5-step approach, and I call it the selling staircase, because it is your job to move clients from step to step to step. And so when I started my business almost 6 years ago now, I did it with the intent of teaching people how to have a structure to the selling process, because part of my background is in neuro-linguistic programming. I don't know if anybody has heard that term before, but it's really the study of communication. And one of the presuppositions of NLP is that there is a structure to excellence. And when somebody can break down and give you a structure, then you can follow it, right? If somebody goes like, here are the steps, boom, 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 you can do that too. And once you can do it, it allows for your own personality to come through. So I believe strongly in not trying to teach people how to sell like me or sell like anybody else. Be you, be authentic, and move people through the process. So we're gonna focus on a few of the steps today, but here is actually a picture of my selling staircase. So it makes up 5 steps. So when I was here, I think Jessica and I agreed that it was maybe 2 years ago, I really focused on the first 2 steps, the introduction phase and the creating curiosity phase. So when she asked me to come back and speak to you guys today, I wanted to give you something new for those of you who were in the room 2 years ago. And if you weren't here, don't worry. You wouldn't have missed something that's going to keep you from understanding what we're going to go through today. But I really want to focus on those three next steps that get to the place where you exchange dollars for services. And that's the discovery, the proposal, and the close. And oftentimes, people sometimes, and you tell me if this has ever happened to you, when you're in the position of being the client, you meet somebody for the first time and they're like, do you want to buy from me? You're like, I don't think so. We just met. I don't know what you do. Have you ever had that happen? And what's happening in those moments is people are skipping steps. They're going from introduction to close. Now, how many of you, if I said, come stand up here right now next to these steps and just hop, like from the bottom, just hop up to the top. How many of you would be like, oh, I'll do it? Some of you might have a really strong core and be like, I could totally do that. But some of you may be like, no, crazy lady, I'm probably gonna bang my shins, right? And so when you skip steps in the selling process, it's essentially asking a client to jump steps. Now, I will say, just to clarify, your client can absolutely jump steps if they want to. If somebody does come up to you and says, here's my money, I'd like to buy from you, please take their money and sell to them. But most people don't do that. There's a process. And so if you're struggling in the selling process, oftentimes it's because you're skipping steps. So that's why I want to discuss some of these steps today and give you some language of how do you move people through it. And that's really the selling staircase is built on the conversation side of selling. So if you have a business and people just flock to your website and pay you tons of money, congratulations, I bow down to you. But most of us don't find that to be the case. Most of us are having some type of engagement with somebody, either over email, message, text, or in person or over the phone before somebody agrees to pay us thousands of dollars, depending on what your price point is, okay? So here's how you move somebody from one step to the next. And this is a fill in the blank here for you on the handout. When somebody expresses interest in your product, in your service, you invite them to the next step. Now, how many of you like to be invited to things? Like, let's say, give me a scenario here. If your neighbor is having a block party, and whether you like your neighbor or have opinions about your neighbor, that's okay. But isn't it nice to get an invitation? Even if you're not necessarily going to go, don't you like to at least be invited? I find most of us like to be invited. I always say my favorite song of all time is Cheap Trick, I Want You to Want Me. Like, most people want to be wanted in some capacity. So it feels good to get an invitation. And this is how you move somebody from a step. So I'm going to give you some possible language. If somebody came up to me and expressed some possible interest, so I'll give you a scenario. Let's say that somebody came up and said, you know, Nikki, I hear that you help people with their selling skills, and I'm wondering if maybe I could use some help like that. So I call that a buying signal, by the way. I wrote a book about it called Buying Signals. So that's a buying signal. So then what I'm going to say to them is I might say something like this. Awesome. What do you think about us setting up a time to talk a little bit more about what's going on for you in the selling process? I actually offer a 30-minute selling strength assessment, and I'd be happy to do that with you. Should we go ahead and schedule a time now? Does that sound like an invitation? Is it salesy? Is it pushy? No, it's just an invitation. They can certainly decline, right? But this is how they go like, oh, maybe. And then I pull out my phone, because I carry my calendar on my phone, and I go, what time next week works for you? and I wait, and I look at my phone, and then they usually pull out their calendar, and then we schedule a time to have that next conversation. And here's the best thing in the world, is that when I call them next week, because I'm on their calendar, they answer. How many of you answer your phone when people just call you out of the blue? Anybody? Okay, 2, 3. How many of you are offended when somebody calls you without having scheduled time on your calendar? Like, how dare that person call me, right? Like, I don't answer my phone if you're not on my calendar. And most of your prospective clients, they don't either. As a matter of fact, this was a great representation. I don't know how many of us are in this room. I didn't actually count. What's the count today? Do we know? 45-ish? Okay. So 3 out of 45 would answer your call. Not very good statistics, right? Your chance of getting that person on the phone is not good unless you're on their calendar. Now, if somebody's on your calendar and you have a call scheduled with them, show of hands, how many of you would answer? Okay, I think everybody. Those of you who didn't, I'm so curious about that. Okay, but most of you would answer because it's a scheduled call, super important. So if you really want to move somebody through the selling process, get on their calendar, schedule a time to chat. So once you've done that, now we're in the discovery phase of the selling process. And the discovery phase is about understanding your client's problem or need. Here's what the discovery phase is not. It is not a time to coach. It is not a time to sell. Because if you go right to the sell in that process, oftentimes you'll turn people off. You'll break rapport. They'll feel like, oh, this is just a sales call. That's not what I needed. Because until you really understand somebody's problem, need, or want, you might not have the right solution, or you might focus on something that would cause them to decide you're not the person for them. So a discovery call is really about understanding somebody's problem or need, and then it's also an opportunity for you to ask the right questions. And here's what I mean about the right questions. The questions that you ask in the discovery process should absolutely lead people to hiring you. And let me clarify that a little bit more. Oftentimes, when clients hire me to review their discovery process, I go through and they'll have I just did this with somebody recently. She had 3 pages of questions that she asked somebody in the discovery process. And I was like, how many people get through half of this and go oh no? She's like, yeah, not a lot of people fill it out. I'm not surprised. I'm bored and you paid me money for this. This is terrible, right? So what's happening is I found that 2/3 of the questions that she was asking in the discovery phase, she didn't actually need the answers to those until the person agreed to hire her. So the questions that you should ask should lead to hiring you. And then once they say yes, they've signed the contract, they're in, then you can probe and ask some of those questions so you can dig deeper, so you can really customize if you need to customize an offer or a solution to them or whatever it is. So when I go through a discovery process with a prospective client, I have 11 questions that I ask. And then when they hire me, I have an intake form that I ask them to fill out before our first meeting. So think about your discovery questions, and how many of you have a list, a set list of discovery questions that you ask clients? Yeah, some of you. Okay. Take a look at them and just make sure that the questions that you're asking lead people to hiring you. Those of you who didn't raise your hand that you don't have a set list of questions, it may be something for you to consider taking a look at and seeing if you do need a set list of questions. And that those questions are things that lead people to hiring you. For instance, I ask in the discovery, how well are you able to create curiosity when you're talking about your product and service? Guess why I ask that question? Because people pay me money to learn how to do that. I don't ever ask somebody, tell me your 30-second elevator pitch, because I don't need that until you pay me money, and then I'll help you with that. So think about your questions, okay? Now, here's the other thing about the discovery. Sometimes people offer it as a consultation. Those of you who do service-based businesses, this is probably more applicable to you than a product-based business. But oftentimes people go, well, I'm going to demonstrate my expertise in the discovery phase. I'm going to give them a taste of what it's like when they pay me money. And here's why I'm going to caution you away from doing that, is because oftentimes in the discovery, when you coach or when you demonstrate your expertise, you actually talk people out of hiring you. And here's why. How many of you in here have been in business for 3+ years? How about 10? Anybody 20 or more? Like, most of you are experts at what you do, and you know so much. And so what happens in a discovery is we think, well, I'm just going to give somebody like a little nugget. I call it like a grain of sand. I'm just going to give them one little grain of sand to demonstrate how awesome I am. And then I know that when they hire me, behind me is all my expertise. I call that the beach. Like, there's all kinds of fun things on the beach, all these things that are going to change their life in some way. But when you give them that one grain of sand, they don't know all that you know. So they think that is the beach. And they're like, wow, you just changed my life. And then they don't hire you. And then, come to find out, they realize, oh, that didn't actually do much for me. And then they don't think your product or your service is very valuable, but they didn't actually pay you money. So beware of coaching during discovery calls. So I always say, like, don't give away your services. That's not the job in the discovery, okay? Now, once you've done a really good discovery, you're going to invite them to the next step, which is the proposal. And this language is not in here for you, but I do want to give you an example of it. So sometimes what happens, I have a client right now out of Houston. They're a huge contracting client, and they work with all the big oil and gas companies in Texas. And what he was doing in his discovery is he was, somebody would say something, and then he would start going into like a selling. Like, he would start selling. Like, they would answer his question, and then he would start selling them. Well, here's one of the things that we do. We have this really amazing service, blah, blah, blah. And because he was kind of convoluting the conversation, they weren't hiring him because all it sounded like was a sales pitch. And he never really had permission to sell. And this is why you have to issue that invitation. This is how you move somebody to the proposal, is you would say to them, this is an example of my language. So when I get to the end of a discovery with somebody, I might say, based on everything we've talked about so far, I do see a couple key areas that we might work together to improve your selling process. Is that something you'd be interested in knowing more about? Because if I just jump in and go like, well, you need to hire me, and here's why, because here's all the things I'm going to do for you, doesn't that sound a little salesy? A little pushy? But if you say to them, I do see a few ways that we might work together. Are you interested in finding out a little bit more about that? And they say yes. Now I have permission to move to the proposal. So if you're missing this piece, it will make a difference for you. Because once they've said yes, now you've got a little bit of a runway to talk a little bit about your services or your product. So here's a couple key things. Once you've moved somebody to the proposal, a couple key things I want you to think about is, one, you're the expert. They are talking to you for a reason, so stand in your place of authority and credibility and recommend what the client needs. And here's why I'm gonna dig into this a little bit. Don't recommend what you think a client can afford. Recommend what they need. And there is a difference. Oftentimes in the selling process, one of the biggest mistakes that salespeople make, and when I say salespeople, I mean anybody who's engaging with a client in this type of a conversation, they often project limiting beliefs onto their client. Like, as a professional sales rep, I want to tell you I'm an expert projector. right? Like I project my limiting beliefs onto the other person, and then I hallucinate that I can read their mind. I know what they're thinking. They're thinking this is too much money. I would never spend money on this much, so they won't either. Like we project our limiting beliefs, and then we like come up with some dialogue. Anybody ever have that happen? You like think to yourself, yeah, I love that people are raising their hand. Thank you, ladies, I appreciate that. I love participation. Okay, so this is not about recommending what you think they can afford, unless they've straight up told you, like, look, I did have somebody do this one time. She got on the phone with me and she said, I'm just gonna tell you right from the get-go, Nikki, I have $100 to spend. What can I get? And I was like, oh, you could get any or all of my books. And then we can bring the conversation to a close, right? But most people don't get on the phone and be like, I have this much money to spend. So recommend what you know they need. And if you have an offer that goes from $200 to $10,000, and after you've done an exquisite discovery with them and you find that the best solution for them is your $2,000 offer, don't recommend the $10,000 offer because that takes you out of integrity. Recommend what you know they need that's going to rock their world, that's going to change their life, that's going to improve something for them, okay? Now, here's the next thing. In a proposal process, whether it's a formal proposal or it's just a conversation, and it could be either, never give your client more than 3 options. Now, if you're sitting there thinking right now, but I have 10. Me too. But it's your job to be the expert and recommend what they need. And that means picking up to 3. So I'm not implying that you have to recommend 3 options. I'm just saying don't recommend more than 3 options because it muddies the waters, it confuses people, and you really aren't being the expert if you cannot narrow it down for them. So make sure that you're narrowing it down and never recommend more than 3 options. And I even have some, I was gonna give you some language. I'll get to that in just a second. Now, if you have 3 options that have a price range and somebody says, you know, what are your options or what are your prices? Oftentimes, does anybody ever get asked like pretty early on in the conversation, like what's your price range or what does it cost to work with you? Give a range. And even if you're saying, well, I can never answer that question because it depends. It depends is not a legitimate answer to a price question. And if you're saying that, I want to caution you and give you something else to do instead. So here's what I always suggest. Give a range. So you could say, you know, working with me costs anywhere from $97 a month all the way up to $4,000 for my VIP program. And then I'm going to explain my most expensive option first and work my way down if I'm giving a range. Or I'm going to do this if I give up to 3 options that fit in that range for them. So you're always going to give and talk about the most expensive option first. And here's why. People don't like to have things taken away. I'm going to give you an example of this. Those of you who are willing, would you just where you're sitting right now, like relax your hand, one of them if you like, and just hold it up, palm facing up, like relaxed fingers. And do you notice that when you do this, if you look around, you see like most of us, our fingers start to like curl in a little bit, right? Like we come out of the womb knowing how to grasp things. We love to attach things to us. We don't like to give things up or have things taken away, right? So this is why when you're giving options in the proposal, you start with the most expensive and you work your way down because people don't like to have things taken away. So that means they're going to be more than likely to pick the option that best fits their needs versus if you start at the bottom, your least expensive, and work your way up. Anything that goes to the next level, it sounds like you're trying to upsell them, which is a typical sales term, but most people don't like to be upsold. So they'll pick the least expensive option, even if it isn't the best fit for them. Now, I have tested this in my 25 years. I play with it all the time. I do it just to test, we'll see today. If I start at the bottom and work my way up, will they pick the least expensive option? Yes, they will. I test it all the time. When I give the most expensive of the three that are the best options for them, they almost always pick the most expensive because they don't want to have things taken away. Okay? So do this for the benefit of the client and for the benefit of your business too, frankly. So it's called a top-down selling. That's a term for it in sales. You always want to start at the top. And I will give you another little tip here. Those of you who list pricing on your website, do not list your least expensive option first. Put your most expensive option and then work your way down. See what it does for your business. Okay, so now we're going to move to closed language. So I've laid out the options for the client, and then I'm going to say, based on these three options, which feels like the best fit for you right now? This is the language. It's there for you, by the way. It's in that little orange box if you want it. Now, as soon as I say the closed language, here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to zip it. In sales, silence is an advanced selling skill. And there are actually three crucial times where you must use silence, and close is one of them. So once you've issued that invitation, which is based on these three options, or based on this proposal, are you ready to move forward if you're only offering one solution? Then you wait. Does it feel uncomfortable? Why is she not talking? You wait. You let your client speak first, and here's why. Because if you keep talking, you'll often interrupt their thought process. You might cause them to change their mind. You might cause them to not make a decision. So be patient and let them take the time they need to process. You just laid something out for them. They might need a moment to think about, am I ready to do this or not? And you do have to issue this closed language, by the way. You can't just give somebody a proposal and say, let me know, and run away and hope they're going to call you someday. They're not. So issue the closed language and just wait and see what happens. Oftentimes they'll actually say one of five things. They'll say, yes, awesome, you have a new client. They'll say no. That happens sometimes. I've been told no before in sales. It's okay. They'll have a question. Good. We've got to issue the closed language to get to the questions. They might issue an objection. That happens. And frankly, one of the best ways to uncover and overcome objections in the selling process is to issue closed language. Or the fifth thing that will happen is they'll say, I need to think about it. Does anybody ever get that? Yeah, me too. So when a client says, I need to think about it, here is where you can make or break the sale, okay? You want to then issue an opportunity to have a circle back call with you. This is my term for another call. And here's what you're going to say to them. This is what I say. I always say, great. About how much time do you think you'll need? Let's go ahead and schedule a circle back call now. That way I can answer any additional questions that come to mind for you. And then we can make some decisions. We're either working together or we're not. Does that sound really aggressive? Did you say yes? Yeah. That last part, we're working together or not? I'll give you another way to say it. I say it. I do. Because I think it's important that you set the person up for success. And one of the ways to set a client up for success is to help them make a decision. Now, if it's a little too aggressive, I'll give you a different way to say it, okay? So I'll say, great, about how much time do you think you'll need? Let's go ahead and schedule a circle back call now. And that way, We can answer any additional questions that you have and then talk about next steps. Do you like that one better? If you guys saw her face, she liked that one a lot better. First one, she was like, I'm not sure about that one, Nikki. That's okay. Say what feels comfortable to you. The important thing is that you say something and that you get a circle back call scheduled on their calendar. Because if you don't schedule a circle back call, they'll actually never take time to think about it because you just become another thing on their to-do list. It's been said that people die with a to-do list with things still on it, right? So we don't want to add to a client's to-do list. We want to make it easy for them to make a decision. We want to give them an opportunity to think about it. And again, this isn't about forcing anybody to do anything, because frankly, if they're like, no, thank you, Nikki, I don't want to schedule a circle back call, I'm totally fine with that. As a matter of fact, so fine with it, I even teach my clients, I don't believe in chasing clients. If somebody doesn't want to stay in the conversation with me, I'm totally fine letting them go. It is not my job to try to convince somebody to buy from me. It's just my job to offer a solution to what they're telling me is their problem and their need. And if I'm the right fit, great. I'm going to make it so easy for them to buy from me. And if I'm not the right fit, I call it bless and release. Like, I wish you well. And I always say I don't chase clients because I think if you chase clients, they turn into toddlers. That's fun. Does anybody have a toddler in their life? What happens when you say to your toddler, I'm going to chase you? Do they go like, ooh, totally going to run away, right? And I think clients like the chase too. So don't chase. Just be there, make it easy for them, offer the solution, let them make a decision. That's all it's about, okay? So when you get on the circle back call, I think I'm going to tell you one more thing, and then we're going to open it up to questions. When you get on the circle back call, here's one of the things I do want to offer to you. It's important that you set it up for success. So I call it pre-framing. Say to them, now the purpose of our call today is to answer any questions that you've come to mind since we last spoke. We'll see if you like this. And then see what decisions you've made. So great, let's talk about your questions. What questions have come to mind? That's how I start the circle back call. I've got to take the lead in the circle back call. Because if I just get on the call and go like, how are you? How was your summer? Okay, so what's new for you? They're like, why did I get on the call with this person? So be professional, take the lead, make it easy for them, and establish what the purpose of the call is. That also creates safety, by the way, for your client. It allows for them to be like, okay, she knows what she's doing, and I know what I'm supposed to do next. Great. Now we can have an honest conversation. Okay? All right, so we talked about, thank you. So we talked about a lot of things here. We started off with the sales funnel versus the selling staircase. We kind of talked about how do you move clients to the next step, which is how do you do that again? Yes, thank you. I love it. I love somebody who'll just call out, invite. And then we talked about moving people into the discovery. What's the one thing not to do in a discovery? Coach. That's right. And then you're going to move to the proposal, and you're never going to give more than, thank you. And then you're going to issue the close language when you've moved to the close, and then what are you going to do? Or zip it first, yeah. If they say, I want to think about it, then you're going to circle back. Perfect. Okay, so before we open it up to questions, there's a few things I want to offer to you. I always like to offer a gift when I come and speak. So this is complimentary. This is if you'd like it. I have an ebook called Closing the Sale that digs a little bit deeper into what we talked about today. And if you'd like that, I would love to send you the ebook. And how you get it is you either put your name and email here on the flyer and you tear it off. I was going to tear this, but there. It doesn't tear very well. Or you can just write bonus on your business card and give it to me before you leave. If you choose to write your name and email, please write your email like you're writing it to your grandma. Because I find when I get home, I'm like, I don't know if that's an E or an R. So help me out. And then I also wanted to let you know that with the chamber, Jessica's asked for me to put on some trainings for you guys. So we have 2 trainings coming up. And if you would like more information on this, please see Jessica. I think they can register on the website. These are virtual trainings, so you can do them from your office if you'd like. And we're doing the first one on September 24th. It's Authentic Sales Conversations, Warming Up Your Prospects. And then on October 8th, we're doing Converting Consultations into Paying Clients. So if you would like to take part in those, we would love to have you participate. Please see Jessica. This is something the Chamber is putting on for you. And now I just want to hear what questions come to mind, and or if anybody wants to share their takeaway from today, I'd love to hear it. Yes, ma'am, in the back. Do I need to get... Would you tell me again what you said? Sorry, I got distracted with the microphone. What's the question for... Yes. Ask them, so the question is, what's my take on asking somebody what their budget is? And my answer is, ask them what their budget is. Now, so I would say there's a couple ways that you can ask. You could say, what have you budgeted for this event? That's one way to ask. If that feels too direct, you could also say, what have you spent on events like this in the past? That's another way to ask to get some kind of frame of reference. I'm going to give you one more. A third way is to give a range and say, events like this typically range somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000. Where do you fall in that range? And, sometimes people are like, they're always going to say the lowest. Not always. Be willing to check. And it's okay, again, if their answer is $5,000 and they're asking you for a $20,000 event, to say, now you had mentioned earlier that your budget was about $5,000. The things that you've said are important to you in your event really kind of puts you more in the $20,000 range. So I'm just wondering, what are the things that you'd like to, are you able to increase the budget, or what would you like to give up in order for this event to still happen? Now, when you say it, you can't be sassy. You have to be curious, like really curious. Like I just am wondering. So be like legit curious. Okay, who else has a question? We have another one over here. Would you stand up?
We're going to Yvonne Sepulveda.
And they want you on the microphone, too, because it helps with the recording. So thank you for...
So I work for State Farm Insurance, and I know you mentioned don't chase the customers. But a lot of times we do have to chase the customer, unfortunately. Because they're like, don't answer their call when they say they are, or they don't respond. So we usually do like 2 or 3 callback and then kind of just let it be.
Okay.
Is that something that you would recommend, or should we not even try?
No, okay. So just to clarify about the chasing, thank you. This is such a great question, by the way. Now, if you have a scheduled time with somebody and they don't answer on that scheduled time, this is my number one way to get a response, and it's authentic. So I feel like now I've set it up like you guys are going to think Nikki is like being sassy, but it's authentic. So I send a follow-up email expressing my concern for the person. And I would say like, Yvonne, is it Yvonne? Yvonne, just wanted to check in with you. We had a call scheduled at 10 today, and I didn't get your voicemail. I just want to make sure you're okay. Would you please let me know that you are okay? And if you'd like to schedule the call, here's how we could do that. Most of the time, people respond. I never act like people blew me off. Because I just had this happen where a client didn't answer, a prospect, She didn't answer. I sent her the message, and she said, Nikki, thank you so much. I actually was in an auto accident. That's why I didn't, thank goodness I wasn't like, girl, you missed the call. What up, right? She really had an emergency. So treat people with that care, and most of the time they'll respond. Now, if they don't respond to that, you might send one more message to them, and I call this a closing the loop message. So what I usually say in those messages is, you had expressed some interest, and I would love to earn your business. And at this point, I haven't heard back from you. Have you made a decision to go a different way or for us to not work together? Please let me know. And at this point, I'll just wait to hear from you. And that's my message of saying, here's the ball, you own it. And then I play what I call a little bit of cat. If you want me, I'm over here, but I'm not going to chase you. Yeah. Love these questions. Does anybody else have a question they'd like to have answered? We have a couple more minutes before we bring this to a close. Of the closing the loop? Now here's what happens when you ask me to repeat what I said. I'm going to try to get close. So I think what I said was, hi, Yvonne. Just wanted to check in with you. I hadn't heard back from you. You had expressed some interest. And at this point, just wondering, have you made a decision for us to not work together or go some different way? Please let me know. At this point, I'll wait to hear from you. I should have said it slower. Sorry. Come see me after. Okay, it's recorded on YouTube. I think it's back on. No, I pushed I didn't know there was a button right there. Who else? Question or comment? One more? Can I ask anybody want to share a takeaway from today? Any aha moment or any I'm going to use that? Okay, new in sales, going to use all of it. Yes! Okay, good. Hey, if what you're doing is working and it's different from what I've said, please keep doing it. I'm all about success, so whatever it takes. Okay, and then take these things, even if you just apply one thing that you got out of today, it will make a difference for you long term. It's like compound effect. All right? Thank you so much for your time and attention and allowing me to come back and present to you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki, and I am sure that all of you will have a lot to take away from this. We're going to move into the next portion of the event, into the networking, and with that, I will turn over the other microphone to Kim Thompson.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Nikki. That was awesome. One takeaway I got from that is I am not going to give it all away in the first conversation anymore because I'm giving away too much good stuff and got to get them to work with me first. So, right? You hear me, girls? Okay. Good. All right, so this part of the meeting is our networking time. So if you have business cards that you brought with you or flyers, anything about your business to share with your table, we are going to have, let's see, I think we have about 5 at each table. So we're going to take, except for this one over here, we're going to take 6 minutes since we have some tables with 6. And if you want to move to a table to make 6, that's great. Or you'll just have extra time at your table. So I do have a little bell over here. So we're going to start with the person closest to the stage, and then you'll get 60 seconds to talk with your table mates. Make sure you give them your name, your business, maybe a problem you can help with, and we will start our timer. Okay, sounds like some great networking has been going on. Okay. So now I would like to invite our newest members since our last business before hours. We want to recognize the new members that have joined our chamber. So if you are with one of these businesses, would you please come up front to be recognized? We have the Wander Coffee Bar, We have New World Health and Wellness. Don't be afraid. Come on up and join me. We have John Kelly Golf, Square Foot LLC, Steve Fulton, State Farm Insurance. Come on, girls. And we have Ronin Chiropractic. Okay, hold on. We'll just hold. Yep, we'll get an opportunity. Wonderful. Come on over here so we can get in front of the camera. Perfect. Okay, wonderful. Well, so you'll just get a minute to introduce yourself and tell us just about your business. So our newest members to the chamber, and this is Dr. K with Ronin Chiropractic.
Hello, my name is Dr. K. I'm with Ronin Chiropractic. I've been 3 years in practice, and I've just joined up just to help as many people as I can. You know, my job is to be a doctor of the nervous system and the brain. So if there's nerve supply to something that's not going well, it's going to probably cause you back pain, neck pain, all these other things that happen all the time. You know, your organs may not work well, not because the organs are bad organs. No, bad. No, it's actually, and most likely, the nerve supply to those organs is insufficient. So my job is to correct those misalignments in your spine, which is restore some of that function. Okay. Now, many of you are like, well, how's that happen? What do I know? The only really way to know anything is to check. And I'm trying to promote some neurological testing, see if there's something in your spine, in your connection between the brain and the rest of your body that's misaligned, improper, incorrect, and unhealthy. So, Dr. K, Ronin Chiropractic, just trying to help people out.
All right, and we have Kim Reynolds with the Wander Coffee Bar.
Good morning or afternoon, I guess. My name is Kim. I'm one of 4 owners of the Wander Coffee Bar. We are 6 months old this month. You think we were older because we were owned by the living room up until March of this year. So 6 months now of our own private business, and we're super excited about it. We just this week opened on Monday as well for Monday Night Football. You're welcome, gentlemen, because right next door, and ladies, I suppose, right next door is Five Rights Brewery, and so we service their clients as well. So it's a lot of fun in there. It's a good hang space. We do have private parties available, but we're open now 7 days a week. So super excited to have you out.
Yeah, I've had some of the beer cheese with the little, what do you call those little things? Pretzel bites. Yeah, but I think you make them with little potato things. I don't know. Really, really good stuff with the beer, by the way. All right, we have John, and John is here with us with John Kelly Golf.
Hi, Kim. Thank you so much. Hey, glad everybody's here. John Kelly Golf. I'm the owner of a player development indoor facility in the Smoky Point area near Lakewood High School. We do player development for juniors that are working towards high school and college careers. We also do adult golf instruction. Jessica's been to my facility, and we've spent some time together. She's doing pretty good. And so one of the programs that we do, there's a lot of ladies here. One of the programs that we do is a learn to play golf with a friend. So you can come in with a friend, learn how to play golf. Now, we are an indoor climate-controlled facility, and through the wintertime, everybody's looking for something to do. And if you come and spend some time with us, you will come out in the springtime with the ability to play golf. So it's a great program. If you have any questions about that, please see me afterwards, or you can get a card and give us a call. And thank you so much. It's great being here.
Thank you. I didn't know it was indoors. Wow. Nathaniel with Square Foot. Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Ben with Square Foot LLC. We are a general contractor with both residential, commercial, and multifamily. We do everything from painting to roofing to foundational work. Little bit of everything. Do a lot of work in Snohomish County and King County, but we're based right here in Marysville, right off State and 88th. So we have a new office. Please come check us out and our showroom.
So they're in the building that was the distillery, and before that it was the tannery. And actually, it's really, really nice what they've done inside there. So yeah, go check out what they've got that they're doing. At PJ is there, right? Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, and so we have Tori and Yvonne. This is like double trouble, twice the fun from State Farm Insurance.
You can fight over it together. Yeah, it's like two peas in a pod. Yes. As Kim said, I'm Tori. This is Yvonne. We are with Steve Fulton State Farm. Everybody knows what State Farm is. So we specialize mostly in fire and auto, which is property and auto. But yeah, I guess we're just, I don't know. Our main job is just empower people. We're not commission based, and so we're not out super just trying to sell. We have a huge book of business, and we don't need to do that. But what we do is empower people to protect them the best ways possible. So that's pretty much what our entire job is.
Thank you, ladies. They're a ton of fun, and I just saw them recently volunteering in Legion Park in Arlington for the music in the park the other night. So they do come as a package, where one is the other one. So we are going to talk about our showcase tables. So at our breakfast before hours and our quarterly luncheons, you have an opportunity to have a showcase table, and the price is $25, and you can showcase your business. And we have 2 showcase tables today. The first one is the City of Marysville. I see Gloria hiding out in the back. That's fine. Is there any events that are coming up that we should know about, or where can we find that information, or we know about the Opera House and renting space here? Give us some plugs for stuff that the city's doing.
We have quite a few projects going on. The mayor had spoken to some of the parks, some of the upcoming events that are occurring this week earlier. We have our activities guide that's back on the table here, where we do have a whole host of options that are available through our Parks, Culture, and Recreation Department. If you visit our website, we also provide lots of updates on all the departments with what's going on in the city. So thank you.
There's Touch a Truck coming up. I just saw that when I was flipping it here in the beginning. Wow, lots of fun. And Princess and Pixie Dust. So if you're interested in that, wonderful. Thanks for the guide there. Also, Ronin Chiropractic has a showcase table. Come on back up, Dr. K.
Let's be honest, I didn't plan the last speech. So really, all I have to say at this point in time, because I've flown everything off the top of my seat, is I specialize here in work comp and auto injuries, and we have lots of insurances that we're contracted with. We're really an affordable way of healthcare. If there's somebody you need who doesn't have any spinal care, who is either suffering or not, they might benefit from some care in our office. So hopefully there's somebody who needs help. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is the part that the cameraman does not like. It's the roving mic time. So if you're a member of the chamber, it's for our chamber members, and you want to give a kudos to another member, you can. The other thing is if you have something going on coming up soon that you're going to tell us about, you get an opportunity to put another card into the door prize drawing. So do I have anybody who has an event, or do you have, I'm looking at you, Steve Powell.
Stand up. Hi, I'm Steve Powell. I'm president of the Kiwanis Club. We're having a Crabtoberfest, is what we're calling it, right here on September 26th. It's all-you-can-eat crab, and it's going to be a Bavarian kind of atmosphere, like in Leavenworth, party, beer, all that kind of stuff, music. Going to be a great time. Today, we just decided to extend a deal that we're having $50 a ticket. On the 12th, we were going to stop it there and charge $65, but because of a marketing issue, we're going to extend it to the 18th. So you got till the 18th. Go online to MarysvilleKiwanisClub.org. Thank you.
Perfect. Here, get an extra card. I hear the aardvarks are going to be playing too. That's some really rockin' music that we're going to have for this. So I'm glad I can still get my tickets at $50. Thanks, Steve. Okay, I know there's another event coming up that we want to talk about. Are we, Tina or Renee? Tina's right there. Okay.
Very great. Hi, Tina Hudon, and I'm with Daily Realty, but I'm also a part of the Seroptimus of Marysville. And we have our annual auction coming up on October 19th that we're looking for anyone to join us and have some fun. It's going to be a great event. We're at the Angels of the Winds here in Everett at the Edward Hanson Conference Center. And so put on your calendars, October 19th. If anyone is interested, haven't got tickets, you can come to me. They're $70 a person. That's for dinner, drinks, and the whole auction, which is really fun. So let us know if you're interested. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Extra ticket. All right. Does anybody else have an event coming up they want to tell us about, or a business that you would like to say they did an awesome job for you? Yes. Yes, you can. Carrie Byram with Avon.
Carrie Byram with Avon. We have a networking event on Friday, and it's really to promote, anybody's welcome. It's from Friday from 5 to 8 at the Stilco in Arlington, off of 3rd. But I'm promoting our Where to Work Women's clothing resource that we're starting for women that are transitioning back into the workforce, or either stay-at-home moms, homeless. It'll be a free program. So we're going to be having an open house that day, but also a business networking at the same time. So feel free to come, bring your business cards, bring a gift to give away. We'll have a guest speaker as well at the Stilco. The address is 103 East 3rd Street in Arlington. And if you have more questions, you can come and talk to me about it.
Wonderful. Card, an extra card. You're going to put an extra card in here. Yes. For an extra chance to win. Yeah, I hear the guest speaker is going to be Tracy Warren at that, and I think that little the Italia coffee shop that's right there is going to be really, really yummy. I don't know if I can have coffee that late at night, though. Okay, as long as I don't have caffeine, because, any of that, at that hour, forget it. Wonderful. Okay, so for the raffle prizes, we're going to move into that. So do I have any businesses, anybody that brought any raffle prizes with them today? And okay, perfect. We always have Renee James with Hometown Values. What do you have for us today, Renee? Oh, that would be really good. Fun. Okay. Okay. Follow me. Step into the light. Here we go.
Angela Neal.
Wonderful. Great. So, and I have a breakfast, a coupon for the Business Before Hours breakfast that is coming up here in September. And so we'll go ahead. Let's have our speaker draw that for us. Come on over here with me.
Vanessa Hartley.
Yay, with Rodan and Fields. Yay, perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, I think my little dance show is done.
All right, thank you, Kim, and thank you, everyone, for participating in that. Just a few closing remarks that I wanted to make. First and foremost, I wanted to make an announcement about some upcoming chamber events. Beginning with the September 27th next chamber breakfast meeting at the Tulalip Resort Casino at 7:30 a.m. That one is the candidates forum, and we will be addressing several of the candidates that are up for election this year, those positions being the county treasurer position, the sheriff, the county council, and the Marysville City Council as well, too. So those four candidate forums will take place. That candidate forum with those four positions will take place. The next Small Business Summit will be Tuesday, October 15th here at the Marysville Opera House. There's no cost to attend. And then also save the date, Home for the Holidays event, Thursday, December 5th at the Tulalip Resort Casino. Tickets are on sale now. I think those are also done online. One other thing, Jessica mentioned this earlier, on the table are the Business Award nominees. Please fill those out and turn them in at the registration desk back there. That would be really, really helpful to us to actually determine who's going to be recognized at the December event. I've always been told that it's always best to close an event with some great thank yous. And so I do want to say thank you to today's sponsor, the City of Marysville. Thank you, Mayor John Nearing, who I know Gloria's here as well. And also thank you to our presenter today, Nikki Rausch, the sales maven. Round of applause for her, please. So, out of my many decades of being in sales and relationship building, first of all, how many of you rely on sales as part of your revenue? I would imagine almost all of you, if not all of you, do rely on that. What Nikki presented today is really just kind of a tip of the iceberg type of information. And in order for you to do your job better, in order for you to increase your sales, it always helps to have the tools in your toolbox, such as what Nikki provides. She didn't pay me to say this, okay? But I can tell you right away that the information that she has is extremely valuable. And if you want to look for some ways to work with Nikki in a more in-depth fashion, there are some great opportunities. There's this information that she has back here. But there's also ways to work with Nikki, and you might want to consider certain strategy sessions with her. In the pamphlets, you'll see there's opportunities there. One of the things on there at the very back, I think, is something, forgive me for not getting this right, but it is the Sales Maven Society membership. You'll see that it's listed at $97 a month. If you're interested in signing up today, that'll be $47 a month. So it's an incredible opportunity, and as I said, she has provided some really, really good information that you can really expound upon, and especially if your job relies on revenue. So thank you for that, and I also want to say thank you very much for the Chamber volunteers and the emissaries for all your help today. A big thanks to all of you as members for your ongoing commitment to this great business community and for the Chamber that serves you. With that, I will say thank you again for coming, and I think there's one more announcement to make.
Something fun. Okay. So Aaron Harpert came up to me and let me know that in the spirit of the Opera House, he is a professional tenor and so would like to serenade to us as we close our meeting. So please feel free to continue to network, but we're going to get some great entertainment.
I wish I was a professional tenor. Actually, I'm a professional business development rep for a property management company. However, I do love singing, so I'm going to sing the Irish Blessing, and this is a very inspirational building, and I love networking with all of you, so.
May the Lord rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the